I'm holding a VHS copy of the 1988 Tim Burton classic, BeetleJuice, starring Mr. Mom, Johnny Dangerously, Jack Frost, and Ken from Toy Story 3, Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little, anxious, if you know what I mean.
Jack Donaghy, and the narrator from the Royal Tenenbaums, Alec Baldwin.
Excuse me?
What?
Excuse me. We are leaving now.
Thelma and Dottie Hinson from the Rockford Peaches, Gina Davis.
Babs.
And Rena from Lucas, and Lisa Simpson's rival, Winona Ryder.
Sick. Sexual perversion. If you guys are gonna do that weird sexual stuff, do it in your own bedroom.
In the time it takes to rewind this tape, I'm gonna answer all of your recently deceased questions. Like, why can't you tell me your name?
Because if I tell you, you tell your friends are calling me on the horn all the time. I gotta show up at shopping centers for openings and sign autographs and shit like that, and it makes my life a hell, okay? A living hell.
What are your qualifications?
Well, I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of the Harvard Business School. I travel quite extensively. I lived through the Black Plague, and I had a pretty good time during that. I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it. Not to mention the fact that you're talking to a dead guy. Now, what do you think? You think I'm qualified?
Can you be scary?
Can it be scary? What do you think of this?
And what the hell are we gonna do?
We're dead. I don't think we have very much to worry about anymore.
I answer all of these and more on today's creepy edition of VHS Breakdown, where we review BeetleJuice, BeetleJuice, BeetleJuice.
It's showtime.
I'm Miguel Jose. I own a ton of movies, but they're all on VHS. No one wants to buy them. I can't even give them away, so I'm gonna watch these films and break them down one last time.
Well, how is it that you see us and nobody else can?
Well, I read through that handbook for the recently deceased. It says, live people ignore the strange and unusual. I myself am strange and unusual.
You look like a regular girl to me.
So I just watched the tape, and after viewing it, I really only have one question. How the is this movie rated PG?
Nice fucking model!
Speaking of PG, this movie joins an exclusive list of 80s movies that said the word in a PG movie. Starting with Spaceballs,
Out of order! Fuck! Even in the future, nothing works!
Caddyshack 2,
And I beat down your door with a fucking baseball bat!
and Big.
Who the fuck do you think you are?
Hey!
Anyways, the movie starts and we meet the Maitlands, a couple that's really lame and cheesy, even for white people. Although speaking of lame, it's nice to see Alec Baldwin play a role where he's not a complete bag of douche for once.
Adam, you had a photo of Bigfoot.
My photo of Bigfoot is a different story.
They own this huge, humongous, nice house, which would be perfect for starting a big family. But unfortunately for Gina Davis, she can't have children. Something she gets rudely reminded by her nosy neighbor.
This house is too big for you. It really ought to be for a couple with a family, you know?
Thanks for bringing that up, bitch. But during their staycation, they decide to run into town. And it's on their way back that they meet their watery demise. Later, dicks! And then this film takes a turn into the wacky. First, her hand goes on fire. And then, they can't even see their reflection in the mirror, which obviously means they're vampires. Isn't that gay? I'm a vampire. No, that's pretty gay. But it's only when they find the handbook
Handbook for the recently diseased.
Deceased.
that they both finally realize that they're both deed
I don't think we survived the crash.
It's here that we finally get our first glimpse of Beetlejuice.
Ooh la la, what do we got here? The Maitlands, huh?
Although not really, because we never see his face in this scene. Which is something the viewers should get used to. Because at a running time of 92 minutes, we only see Keaton on screen for a total of 17 and a half.
I'm not putting up with this.
For real, he's only on the screen for 17 and a half minutes. And the goddamn name of the movie is Beetlejuice. It's like naming a movie Caddyshack and not being about the caddies.
He's not a member, Grandma. He's a caddy.
So yeah, the Maitlands are both finito. And in come the Dietzes. A yuppie family from New York, headed by Kevin Allister's mom.
I have never been so embarrassed.
Nobody likes the Dietzes. Not even their goth daughter Lydia, which we learn when that little girl shuts up the car window right in her face.
What happened to the people who used to live here? They drowned.
But even though they're both ghosts, Alec and Gina are too dumb to scare off the Dietzes.
What's the good of being a ghost if you can't frighten people away?
And that's when we finally meet their caseworker Juno.
Are you Juno, our caseworker?
Yes, I evaluate individual cases and determine if help is needed, deserved, and available.
Are you available?
No.
And it's here that we learn two important things. One is that death is apparently as boring and pointless as regular life.
We're very unhappy.
What did you expect? You're dead.
But we also learn that Beetlejuice is a troublemaker.
He does not work well with others.
So what do our heroes do? They try to contact him immediately, of course.
BeetleJuice!
And I'm glad they do. Because this movie's almost half over and we haven't even seen Beetlejuice yet. I haven't had this much anticipation built up since the Miyagi and Sato fight.
Miyagi!
But we finally see Beetlejuice. And it's goddamn worth it because Michael Keaton is hilarious.
I'm really gonna have to get to know you guys. You know, we gotta get closer. Move in with you for a while. Get to be real pals. You know what I'm saying?
Save that guy for later.
And oh yeah, those credentials he lists,
Well, I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of the Harvard Business School.
those are actually true in real life.
Hell, I'll possess myself if I gotta. Whoa! Yo! I got demons running all through me.
Michael Keaton describes himself as the ghost with the most.
I'm the ghost with the most, babe.
And by most, I think he means most rape attempts.
Come on, give me one. You're Harlan, huh?
Both regular and statutory.
You know, you look like somebody I can relate to.
In fact, he might be the rapiest ghost of all time. Not including Ghost Dad, of course.
I'm not exposing that little girl to that pervert down there.
But they manage to escape Beetlejuice, and we end up at Otho's awkward dinner party with Dick Cavett. Did you all catch Otho's little joke about suicide?
You know what they say about people who commit suicide? In the afterlife, they become civil servants.
He wasn't really joking. All the civil servants that we met in the waiting room, they actually did kill themselves. From Juno, the caseworker who slit her throat, to the guy that jumped in front of the bus that's now filing papers.
Thanks, I've been feeling a little flat.
Even the receptionist who slit her wrists and makes a cute little joke about it.
If I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have had my little accident.
Honestly, I can't remember the last time suicide seemed so funny. The Maitlands try to scare them off with a little calypso karaoke.
I didn't even know I could do the calypso.
And when that plan fails, Beetlejuice turns into a giant snake and immediately looks up Delia's dress. He then follows up that classy performance by hitting up Dante's Inferno.
Oh, yeah, here I come, baby.
A whorehouse in Alec Baldwin's Model. And the perfect place for an already dead dirtbag.
Adam, why did you build that?
I didn't.
Lydia wasn't a fan of that giant snake bit at all, which is why she writes a suicide note as she gets ready to take her own life.
I will be gone, having jumped, having plummeted.
Oh, 80s movie suicide attempts. Ha ha. So stupid. But Otho finds the handbook, and he almost totally blows it when he tries to kill Alec and Gina.
They're dying!
They're already dead. They can't feel a thing.
But Lydia saves the day by agreeing to marry the older Beetlejuice.
Hey, I gotta get married.
And I mean much older, because he's like 600 years old, and she's still in high school.
Think of it as a marriage of inconvenience, okay? We both get something. I get out. You get to say you're hitched to the most eligible bachelor since Valentino came over. We're even, babe.
Okay, just help them.
Which is only the second creepiest statutory rape scene I've ever seen.
I've been waiting 3 years for this.
For what?
For you to be old enough.
For what?
But Beetlejuice returns.
Well, I'm back. I feel real good about myself, you know what I mean?
Although, did you notice that when he becomes the merry-go-round, that he's got Jack Skellington from A Nightmare Before Christmas on his head? And what about those ears? Someone was getting ready to cast him as Batman in his next movie. But in the end, they all defeat Beetlejuice, whose name they only say 15 times in the entire movie. Which doesn't count Alec Baldwin's poor attempts at saying his name.
Call BeetleJuice. We've got to contact this guy Beetlemeyer or something.
And it's still way short of the 118 times they say Michael in The Lost Boys.
I'm Michael. Michael.
Michael.
Michael.
Michael! Michael's great. I like Michael.
Seriously, I really counted them all.
Piss off.
But we reach the end of the movie. Lydia doesn't kill herself, and the Maitlands finally have the daughter that they always wanted. Which is perfect, because if we learned anything in this film, it's that Lydia's actual parents didn't really love her.
In fact, no one dining here this evening has not been in Vanity Fair, except you.
Well, the tape's done rewinding. And perfect timing, too, because I have my own awkward dinner party to attend.
Come, Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana. Daylight come and me one go home. Live 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot.
This is where being too drunk sucks.